This Sunday's Gospel, following last week's, sees Peter so quickly failing to appreciate the import of Jesus being the Christ, the truth he was enabled to express in his profession of faith. Jesus speaks of his death and resurrection, but Peter cannot contemplate the suffering, the death of the Lord. For the follower of Christ, the way will not always be easy. It will often be difficult and hard. The gate is narrow, the way is steep. We have Jesus' words in Luke's Gospel: to those who are given much, much is expected. And we have been given so much. God, in the person of his only Son, suffers and dies for you and for me. He rises from the dead that we might share his life. This is the wonder of the relationship with Jesus, who gives everything for us, everything for the world. He has given us so much, more in fact than we can fully comprehend in this life. Jesus calls us to take up the cross and follow him, to give our lives for him. We may not be called to be martyrs in the usually understood sense. However, martyr means witness, and we are called to be witnesses. Witnesses not just occasionally, intermittently, when it's convenient or easy, but at every moment of our lives. This witnessing will often be something of a cross for us, but in our proclamation of Christ, we find life. St. Paul, writing to the Romans, put this in a way that is easily recognizable in our modern age. Do not model yourselves on the behavior of the world around you, he says, but let your behavior change, modeled by your new mind. This new mind was found through the conversion experienced by the Roman converts to whom Paul wrote. Every day, may we be open in a renewed way to the mind of Christ, that our way of life may be a witness to him in the world. Courage will be needed if we are to proclaim the way of Christ. God first, a life of prayer and the wonder of the sacraments. In these lie the motivation and foundation for love of neighbour, with all that this entails: the protection of life from its first moment to natural death, the recognition of the possibility of forgiveness for all, the welcome to the refugee, the lifting of the bonds of modern slavery. There is absolutely no aspect of life from which the influence of the gospel should be excluded. May the fire of the gospel burn in our minds and hearts, that all may know the wonder of the life of the Christ, the Son of the living God.